It was 1:58 a.m. when I heard the crunch of tires on the gravel outside. I was wide awake on the couch, pretending to watch a rerun of some late-night talk show while my stomach twisted itself into knots. My wife, Emily, had texted hours earlier, "Don't wait up. The meeting's running late." But I'd seen her boss, Mark, post an Instagram story about an hour ago, him and a few coworkers laughing at a rooftop bar, drinks in hand. That uneasy feeling in my gut told me she wasn't where she claimed to be. I stayed up, lights dimmed, not because I wanted to catch her, but because I needed to know if I still had the courage to face the truth. When headlights swept across the window, I moved quietly toward the door. Peeking through the curtain, I saw her, Emily, stepping out of Mark's sleek black BMW, laughing, her hand brushing against his arm like they'd known each other far too well. He leaned in, whispered something that made her giggle, and his hand rested on her lower back, the kind of touch that doesn't belong to coworkers. My heart pounded. I opened the door before she reached the porch. The sound froze them both. Emily's laughter died instantly. Her smile vanished. Mark straightened up, looking like a kid caught sneaking in after curfew. "Well," I said, leaning against the doorframe, voice calm but cold. "This must be that meeting you mentioned." Mark fumbled for words, stammering something about giving her a safe ride home. The lie cracked in the middle of his sentence. Emily tried to speak, but her excuses tangled and died on her lips. I could smell the alcohol, the expensive perfume, and something else, guilt, thick in the air. "You can go now, Mark," I said, locking eyes with him. He hesitated, looking to her for support, but she just stared at the ground. "Go." My voice didn't rise, but it didn't need to. He muttered something under his breath, nodded, and walked back to his car, speeding off without another word. Emily stepped inside, slow and cautious, like she was entering a courtroom. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was the oldest line in the world. "Then tell me what it is," I said, arms folded. She claimed they were just celebrating a project win, that everyone was there. But her voice trembled, every syllable a confession. "You came home in his car at 2 a.m., I said. "Were the others invisible? Or did they disappear when he offered to drive you home?" She stayed silent. And sometimes silence is the loudest truth there is. I walked past her into the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and stared at my reflection in the microwave door. "You used to hate staying out late," I said quietly. "Now you stay out past midnight, dressed to impress your boss, and expect me to believe it's work." "Ethan, please," she said softly. "Don't do this right now." I turned slowly. "No, Emily. You already did this. I'm just trying to understand when it started." Tears filled her eyes, but there was no apology. Only fear, not fear of losing me, but of losing the comfort I provided. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. "You think I don't notice how your face lights up when he calls?" I asked. "You think I don't hear the laughter you saved just for him?" She shook her head, sobbing. "It's not like that." "Then what is it like?" I asked. Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like betrayal disguised as ambition. She collapsed onto the couch, covering her face. The house felt smaller, heavier, every unsaid word pressing down on both of us. 10 minutes passed in silence. The ticking clock sounded like a countdown to the end of something sacred. Finally, I spoke. "You know, I defended you when people said Mark was getting too close. I told them they were wrong, that you'd never cross that line." Her red, swollen eyes met mine. "I didn't. I swear I didn't sleep with him." I nodded slowly. "Maybe not yet. But tell me this, did it feel good? Being seen, being admired, while I was here paying bills and making dinner?" She broke down completely, whispering my name like it could erase everything that happened. I walked to the hallway closet and pulled out the small suitcase I'd packed earlier, just in case my worst fear became reality. Her face went pale. "Ethan, where are you going?" "To find my self-respect," I said, zipping the bag. "You've spent too long chasing attention. And I've spent too long pretending not to notice." She tried to block the door, but I gently moved her aside. I'm not angry, I said quietly. I'm just done being the man who waits for scraps of honesty. Her sobs followed me into the cool night air. As I walked toward my truck, I noticed Mark's BMW parked halfway down the street, headlights off. Coward, I muttered, walking up to his window. He rolled it down halfway, eyes wide with guilt. You waited, I said. That's cute. He opened his mouth to explain, to apologize, but I leaned closer. A good boss doesn't text a married woman at midnight or drive her home at 2 a.m. Don't mistake what's broken in her marriage for an invitation. It'll ruin you, too. Then I turned and walked away, leaving him speechless. By the time I hit the highway, dawn was breaking. My phone buzzed again and again, her name lighting up the screen, but I didn't answer. Somewhere between mile markers 42 and 43, I rolled down the window and let the cold wind hit my face. It stung, but it felt clean. I didn't know what would come next. But for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Maybe she'd realize what she'd lost. Maybe she wouldn't. But one thing was certain. I was done being half-loved.